Hello tubers, this is Kurt with Edibles and Exotics coming to you from sunny Mesa, Arizona. And today we're going to be planting a Buddha belly bamboo plant. So these guys, they call them a dwarf Chinese bamboo. They don't get too tall. You know, most reports in this area say about 12 to 15 feet. I've seen some people say in the tropics they can get like 50 feet tall. But the main reason I'm planting it is because the sun goes overhead this way, and in the summer over here, it gets really hot on this side of my house. So I've been trying to plant trees that are fast growing to shade this side. I got my black mission fig over here that shades the kitchen. I planted a moringa over here. I got a medjool date palm that I grew from seed, and I know people say, oh, it's not a real medjool date palm. Hey, it tastes exactly like a medjool date. I get fruits off of it like crazy, and it's been in the ground about 10 years from seed. So anyway, so this area of my front yard here where I'm planting it, like I said, it's going to be shading my front door over here and this side of the house. So I picked a spot here where it's going to give enough room for it to grow up and out, so it's not bumping into this guy and shading him, and it's going to shade my mango tree a little bit and some of my wood chips on the front here. So I did a chip drop here about a year ago, and basically all I did for this little stretch here, this front yard, I just scalped all the grass. I had Bermuda grass growing here, scalped it, and just let it dry out really good to try to kill some of the grass. And then I put the wood chips down on top of it. I didn't till them in. I didn't put anything, no cow poop, no horse poop, no nothing underneath. It was just the wood chips. And this area has a really big problem with compaction. So this area between my house and my neighbor's house, there's a culvert for drainage from the street that runs into the wash behind the house, or water retention area. And I think when they were putting this culvert in, the house wasn't here at the time, and they were running very heavy equipment back and forth over what is now my side yard and my front yard. So the soil is very compact, but in the past couple of years, I've been putting gypsum down and watering that in really good. I put soil sulfur down to help acidify the soil a little bit, and I've been aerating. So I haven't done that since I put the wood chips down. I plan on doing another chip drop in the fall. And I think when I do that, I'm probably going to put some composted cow poop down on top of the wood chips that are there and just mix it in with a pitchfork, try to get down about 6 to 8 inches and just turn that top layer of soil and then put my wood chips on top of that, you know, my fresh wood chips that I get. So let me show you a little bit around, and then we'll get started on planting this guy. All right, so this is the culvert area I'm talking about, and you can see that metal grate back there, or railing, and that's where the pipe runs under, and it runs all the way out. You can't really see it through here, but runs out to the street over there. So this whole area here, like I said, I think they ran heavy machinery over it and really compacted the crap out of it. So what I've done yesterday is I've dug this hole. So it's filled in a little bit. It's probably about 2 feet deep, but it was about 3 feet deep. I filled it up yesterday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's now about 9 o'clock in the morning here. So we're not 24 hours out yet, but there's just a slight bit of water in the bottom, you know, maybe a ½ inch of water. And this palm tree here, this one died, all right? So a lot of these roots are palm tree roots. Some of them run over to the fig tree, but basically that's what I recommend doing, is digging down pretty deep. Now these bamboo trees, they don't have very deep roots. They're a grass. So these roots may go down 2 feet at the most. They're not going to go down like 3-4 feet. They're going to spread in the surface of the soil. And the reason I dug that hole so deep was I am going to do kind of like a makeshift hugel mound. All right, so we're going to put wood chips at the bottom, and those are going to decay over time, and they're going to help with drainage. Now, when I filled that hole up with water, I put probably about 2 cups of gypsum in there, and I mixed it up really good with the water and let that settle out. And what the gypsum's going to do is it's going to help create more of an aggregate as opposed to a concrete out of the clay soil that we have here. So it's going to help break it up and allow water to infiltrate and air to infiltrate into there. And with the wood chips, what that's going to do is over time, probably over the next couple of years, that's going to break down and it's going to allow the water to drain even better through the soil. Because bamboo, they do like very moist soil, but they do not like standing in mud. All right, so they need a lot of airspace between the soil particles to allow air to get in there so they don't go stagnant, anaerobic, and rot the roots. So that's why that hole is so deep. All right, it's not because I think the roots are going to go that deep. It's because I'm trying to create a drainage area. So when I water this guy, he could stay nice and moist, and I don't have to worry about him getting root rot, especially in the winter. So I'd like to show you this bamboo here. This is the one I got. I got it off of Craigslist, I think it was, for 35 bucks. It was an excellent deal. The guy has hedges of these growing, and he propagates them and sells them for dirt cheap. The guy's super cool. And the reason they call it a Buddha belly bamboo is because, as you can see here, these guys are shaped kind of like little Buddha belly. All right, and so are these here too. These guys, they were this was kept in the shade, you know, as he was rooting it out, which it is fully rooted out now. But you can see these aren't as short. Usually, when you keep them in the shade, they try to stretch to reach the sun, so you won't get as big of a Buddha belly shape out of those. And especially when they get older, they tend to lose that Buddha belly shape. But these guys are awesome because they tend to weep at the top, so it kind of grows looking almost like a tree, and it is a clumping bamboo. It does not run, so it forms a tight clump, and they're very easy to propagate. So I'm hoping this time next year I'll be able to propagate these guys and sell them, and you know, sell them for cheap, make you guys happy, make me some money. So back to this soil here. So unfortunately my sprinklers ran, but this soil here, this is the soil I dug out of the hole, and it, like I said, it's more of a clumpy aggregate, all right? It's not all stuck together like concrete. So this is what gypsum will do to your heavy clay soil over time. All right, when you squeeze this, you touch it, it just falls right apart. So here's some damp stuff. We're going to squeeze it, and then we're just going to touch it. Look at that. It just breaks right up into tiny little clumps. So I'd highly recommend using gypsum, guys. With the gypsum, what you have to do is you're going to have to sprinkle it down. You're going to put like a 1/4 inch thick layer if you're doing it on a flat surface, and you're going to water it in really good. You're going to let it sit, and then you're going to water it 2 or 3 more times to try to flush all the built up salt out of that soil, because the gypsum will break that salt bond, and it'll keep it from turning into a concrete. So guys, like I said, we're going to be using some wood chips. So this here, I got 2 buckets here. This is bedding for my snakes. I got a ball python and a boa constrictor. And what we're going to do is, this has cypress mulch. That's what I use for their bedding. It's got snake shed, so that's their dead skin. And it's also got snake poop and snake pee in there. So this 1 bucket, we're going to dump this in the bottom of the hole. So let's do that right now. All right. So we got that in there. All right. Little soupy. All right. So what we're going to do next is we're going to mix 50-50 of the soil we took out of the hole with this here. It's El Toro brand deodorized manure. So this is composted cow poop. It's fully composted and weed-free, uses as a top dressing for grass and seeds, and soil preparation and conditioning. So this stuff's great. It is sometimes a little hot, so by hot I mean it's got a lot of nitrogen in it. So if you could start your hole maybe a day or 2 in advance and water the crap out of it to help flush some of that nitrogen out so you don't burn any sort of sensitive plants, it might not be a bad idea, but since we're doing bamboo, bamboo loves nitrogen, so it shouldn't be a problem using this mixed with the soil we removed from the hole originally. So we're going to put this in and we're going to do layers, a little bit of composted cow poop, a little bit of native soil. We're going to keep doing that until we have a little bit of a mound. All right, so here we go. Get some of this in there. Try to break up any clumps. All right. We're going to sprinkle some of this in here. It doesn't have to be exact, guys. We're going to take the pitchfork. We're just going to try to mix it up a little bit. All right, guys, so you might be wondering why I did a hole where I did it. So I have the curb here. I can't go too far that way. I have my irrigation line running right through here for my front sprinklers. I get a dead palm tree stump right there. I don't want to go too close to that because the roots trying to get through that could be a pain in the neck sometimes. And behind me, this area back here is where I buried a cat many years ago, and I don't want to dig that up. That'd be kind of creepy. So that's why the hole is the way it is. This is going to be the perfect spot here. I measured it should go side to side, not really interfere with too much growing. In the future, if I need to, I could always trim off side branches. But that's why I did it in this spot. So we got our mixture now of composted cow poop and native soil. All right. So people think our soil sucks. Our soil is great. It just lacks organic material. So by adding the composted cow poop, we're adding a lot of organic material. All right. Worms are going to love this. Isopods are going to love this. All sorts of decomposers, mycorrhizae, everything's going to love this. So our tree, our bamboo tree, should do great here. Okay. So this is what we want right here. All right. All right. So this native soil, guys, this is basically in Arizona. This is mainly decomposed rock. Okay. So there's a lot of minerals in here, but it is very high in alkalinity usually. So what we're trying to do is by adding the organics, mainly the composted cow poop, we're trying to bring the alkalinity down a little bit. All right. And by bringing the alkalinity down, whatever minerals are locked in this clay soil here, those minerals are going to be able to be absorbed by the plants and used. So you do not want to get rid of your native soil. If you're planting a garden mound or raised beds, God knows why you do that in Arizona, but that's for another video. But you do not want to fill it with just gardening soil. You always want to mix in at least 50% of our native soil, all right? Because that does have minerals in it that plants need. Otherwise, you're going to be adding fertilizer and all sorts of stuff to try to compensate for that. So just try to keep it natural and you'll be good to go. You know, you got to think in rainforests, you know, in the tropics, you're going to have more than likely a pretty thick layer of topsoil. You know, it could be anywhere from 2 feet to like 30 feet of topsoil, but below that, it's going to be clay soil just like we have here usually, okay? Unless you're really close to the beach, then it might be, you know, sand. But if you're inland, you know, it's going to be clay soil. And plants' roots, they reach down for that. Now, that clay soil is going to be very acidic because there is so much rain and so much decaying plant matter. So that's why a lot of tropicals love the acidic soil, all right? This bamboo, it's native to Burma, I believe, or Myanmar, I think it's called now. which is pretty tropical. So, you know, we're going to raise or lower the pH by adding this composted cow poop, all right? So the next step is going to be figuring out which way we want this plant oriented, all right? So it's kind of growing this way. You know, we don't want to turn it this way because then it's going to probably wind up growing into the house. So we want to keep it this way. And it's leaning a little bit this way, which is good. It's leaning away from the house. So I think we're going to plop it in right like that. So we're going to make a little ring. All right. And now we're going to dig this hole out. Should be very, very easy to dig. So we're just going to pile it up a little bit right around the hole. All right, so we've dug out our hole. We're going to test fit this guy. All right. Took a little too much out. So let's roll some back in there. All right, that's pretty good. We want to be about 2 inches or so above the rest of the soil because this is very loose soil. As you water it, over the next couple of days, it's going to sink down. All right, we don't want this guy sunk too far. So we want him to sink down so he's even with the original soil level, maybe a little bit higher. All right, guys, I don't know what happened here, but I lost my audio, so I'm going to do a little voiceover here. So right now, I'm getting the bamboo out of the pot. It's easier if you just pound on the sides of the pot like you can see me doing, and then slide the pot off the bottom of the plant. Try not to pull on the stems of the plant because you could rip it right out of the soil. So kind of tilt it down and just slide it out. So when you pick these things up, always pick them up from the stem if possible to support it side to side, and then put your hand underneath the bottom and get it in the hole. So right here, you know, we checked it and we got it where we wanted it, the correct orientation, and we put it right back in the exact same way that we decided to orient it in the ground. So now we're just going to take all that soil that we dug out of the hole and we're just going to put it around and push it in a little bit. Next, we're going to take the remainder of the composted cow poop and we're going to sprinkle it around. All right, we don't need a thick layer here. We're only looking for maybe an inch or less, and we don't want it up against the base of the plant. So we're going to leave a little gap there, probably about 3-4 inches between the base of the plant and the composted cow poop, because we don't want it getting up against that stem and either rotting it or causing fungus or mold or just getting too much nitrogen into the roots right next to the plant. So now we're taking the remainder of the snake bedding that has snake skin, cypress mulch, and snake poop and pee in it. And we're going to move that around, spread it out. Again, I plan on mulching this in the fall, so we don't need a super thick layer, just enough to keep the plant moist, keep the evaporation down, and keep the soil around the plant cool. And again, we're not going to push this right up against the stem. We're going to leave just a little bit of space, again, maybe 4 or 5 inches, just so that the stems could breathe and they don't rot. All right, guys, so that's going to conclude our video on how to plant a Buddha belly bamboo, or any tropical for that matter. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, everything in this video is also covered in my plant care grow guide. So I'm going to post a link in the comments to that. It's free to download. You can share it, whatever you want to do, print it out. It's yours to use. I'm going to keep adding to it as I find free time, and it's going to slowly evolve. So when I update it, if you check back in future videos, I'll let you know when it's updated, and you guys can download the updated version. So, you know, you saw me putting down the snake bedding. Now, normally you don't want to use any sort of manure from carnivores, which snakes are carnivores. Obviously, they eat mice, rats, meat. So this is going to be an ornamental. We're not eating this thing, all right? We're not eating any part of it. It's probably toxic. It'll probably kill you and give you splinters in your mouth. So being an ornamental, it's okay to use, you know, carnivore type animals' poop around those plants, all right? And like I said, you know, all the soil organisms, they're going to break that down and have a feast on it. So it's definitely going to help feed the plant. And like I was saying, this area, you know, it's all rock. You know, that area where that pipe is running underneath the soil for drainage for the community, it gets very hot. The side of my house gets blasted from about, I would say, 1 o'clock until sunset by the sun. So this whole area heats up like an oven. So that's my main reason for planting that bamboo there. I hope it grows fast. You know, I'm looking for it to put on 4 to 8 feet this grow season. Don't know if that's gonna be possible, but that's what I'm shooting for. So this guy, I watered it in after I did everything with the hole and planting it. And I'm gonna water it probably a little bit in the morning and a little bit when I come home at the end of the day. And just to keep it moist. You don't want it to dry out. You want those roots to start stretching out into that soil, picking up nutrients. And I'm going to keep an eye on it over the next couple of days. You know, we're supposed to possibly get into the 115 range by the end of next week. Right now it's between 100, 105. And this area is probably going to be around 105 to 115 for the remainder of this week, just because of the, you know, the wall of the house and all these rocks and stuff. So if it starts getting any sort of leaf tip dieback or the canes start getting scorched by the sun, I'm going to spray that with my homemade sunblock. I did a video on that. I'll put a link down in the description. And it's basically just calcium carbonate sprayed on it with a spray bottle. And calcium carbonate is very, very reflective. Calcium carbonate is blackboard chalk, so you can get it anywhere. You just got to make sure it's pure calcium carbonate, not some sort of, you know, funky new mixture that's non-toxic or whatever. But calcium carbonate is basically what's in Tums, so it's not toxic by itself anyway. So like I said, I'm going to keep an eye on it. If I see any sort of dieback or scorching, I'm going to spray it, and that should be plenty shade for it to be able to still photosynthesize yet reflect that sun and heat and not burn. So if you guys have any questions on growing bamboo in general, or anything I did in this video, you could comment down below. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, tell all your friends. And until the next video, guys, keep growing.